Hello and welcome back to Cars Like Your Car Brochure channel. Today we'll be looking at the Toyota Corolla 4th generation E70. Welcome back. If you are into car brochures, please do subscribe. I'm sure you'll find something of interest for you. Today we're going to be talking about the Toyota Corolla. Toyota Corolla first introduced in 1966 and then by 1974 it became the worldwide bestseller, and pretty much every year after that it's been right up there as one of the world's best-selling cars. Toyota Corolla. Corolla, if you're interested in Latin, means small crown. So that tradition of having the Toyota crown, and this would be the small crown, the Toyota Corolla. Amazingly enough, up to 12 generations now, aren't we? Today, like I say, we're going to be looking at this brochure for the 4th generation. So let's have a look at that now. Here we go. Today's brochure. Move my tea out the way. You can't start the morning without a nice cup of tea, can you? So today's brochure, the Corolla range, it's showing here. The 4th generation model was released in March 1979 in Japan, and it was actually the last generation to have the entire generation as rear-wheel drive vehicles. Export sales began in August 1979. And interestingly enough, the 1 millionth Corolla was one of these 70 series Corollas, which is a little interesting fact. So a bit of an interesting thing about this brochure, we're saying August 79 is when the Corolla range came out. This particular brochure is from, I believe, September 1982, so it's confusing. It says the new Corolla range. We kind of think this is when the Corolla range started, but I think what this is referring to is the refresh. It had a bit of a facelift in 1982, and that's kind of like what it's referring to here. Pre-81, most of the world had this 4th gen Corolla had your twin round headlights. That was changed to this rectangular shape, and then in 82 we got a more sloping nose, these wraparound headlights. The tailgates were remodeled, new bumpers, a bit more equipment. So I think that's what it's really trying to show in this particular brochure. I also think these 4th gens are a weird range, really. Yes, the saloon makes perfect sense. Yes, this estate, very practical estate, makes a lot of sense. But then we've got these two strange models. We've got the coupe and the liftback. Kind of like two models that kind of like overlap a little bit. I don't know if there was really any need for both of them. Yeah, if you want a coupe in your range, have a coupe. But then if you want a hatchback, then make it a practical 4-door hatchback rather than still a 2-door. I don't really understand it. Maybe that's just me, but bleep bloop what you think about that in the comments. Well, like I said, this brochure is in remarkable condition. It is as new for a 1982 brochure. It's as if I've just picked it up from the dealership and brought it home today. Anyway, let's have a look what's inside this brochure. And then we've got this lovely side shot of this 4th generation range in 82. So we start off with this brown 2-door GL and a 4-door GL as well. Again, another 2-door car, which I kind of think is a little bit confusing. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything against the Corolla 4th generation. It was a huge seller, so they certainly did something right, and extremely reliable. Very well equipped car for its time as well. And if you're making well equipped cars that are super reliable, in the end you're gonna overtake the competition just by doing that, because the average person on the street really just wants something that's going to start every day, and it's got a reasonable level of trim, and that's what the Corolla offered. So of course it was a winner. Lower down we get another 2-door car though. This would be the XE liftback. And then we've got this coupe, that's an SR coupe, and the DX estate. So that will be the range in 1982 for this 4th generation model. Let's have a look at this, a little bit of this text. You get a nice view of the dashboard there. Like I say, very plasticky. They did very plasticky dashboards, but reasonable equipment levels. Anyway, let's have a look at some of this text. So it's saying here, from its very introduction, the new Corolla range met with tremendous success and enthusiasm. Now that pleasure is doubled with the launch of the 1982 version of the world's #1 bestseller. For every model, from the 1290cc 2-door GL and 4-door GL saloons and DX Estate, through to the powerful 1588cc XE liftback and twin carburetted SR Coupe sporting versions. Now comes complete with even more special features to make motoring more enjoyable and ownership more economical. The Corolla range for 1982 is aerodynamically styled with neat functional lines and fitted with standard equipment that puts it in its class of its own. Out on the open road, all coil suspension delivers the smooth riding, long-legged comfort appropriate to the 5-speed gearbox, standard right across the range, with the 4-door GL saloon also available with an outstandingly smooth automatic transmission for relaxed driving. Down at tarmac level, radial tyres provide superb all-weather road holding with servo-assisted dual-circuit front disc and rear drum brakes for maximum stopping power. On the inside, front and side demisters, heated rear windows and a powerful 4-speed fan ensures clean, clear, visibility whatever the conditions outside, with halogen headlamps, rear fog lamps and inertia rear seat belts to complete this picture of safety and performance features. And on the outside, the Corolla is well protected from accidental car park knocks by its rubbing strips which run down the complete length of each side of the body. But that's only the start. The DX, then it just says the DX Estate retains well-proven semi-elliptical leaf springs for greater load carrying capacity. So it's going on about, oh, fantastic, it's got this coil springs, and then a little bit of a side note, well, actually the DX Estate's still got ancient cart springs on it, but there we go. But it's saying, you can carry more with it with that, but I'm sure it certainly affected the ride. And I'm not going to read this whole text here, as it's quite a wordy. It's only a small brochure, but it's quite wordy, isn't it? But some of these nice pictures. So we've got these very nice seats on the GL 2-door and the 4-door GL, a little bit of an image of the side view of that. And then also over here, the capacity of that Estate version with its fold down seat. Certainly a very practical car, even though it's got those leaf spring suspension. The styling of the 4-door saloon is kind of like a bit of a forgettable design, really, isn't it? But I'm sure these cars were so reliable. If you bought one of these from new, I'm sure it was several generations of Corolla before you had to buy a new one. They were that good. A little bit bland to look at, but that's not always a bad thing on an everyday car. It's not something that's going to be prone to someone trying to steal, I would imagine. Anyway, let's turn the page before I say something and get in trouble with Corolla fans out there. Like I said, I do love these cars. They are very, very robust vehicles. So if we move past the centre pages, we then get a look at these unusual versions. So we've got this XE liftback and this coupe. So we will have a look at some of this on here, because they are a little bit more unusual, aren't they? So it's here saying Corolla means a high standard of motoring comfort, but Corolla also means style. And nowhere is this blend more evident than the two top options of the range, the Corolla XE liftback and Corolla SR Coupe. Both share the uprated 1588cc engine, although the twin carburetors on the SR Coupe. It looks like they've also got the same interior here as well. Striped fabric seating and additional instrumentation include tachometer, oil pressure and door ajar warning lamps, as well as a stylish digital clock and very useful sunroof. But there the similarity ends, for the Corolla XE liftback combines the sleek and elegant good looks with the discreet carrying space so many families need. No less than 27 cubic feet of luggage can be accommodated. You talk about being a family car though. I mean, personally I think a family car should be 4 doors, but let's not go into that too much, I guess. So it's got no less than 27 cubic feet of luggage can be accommodated. Rear screen, wash wipe and individually folding rear seats complete the equipment on this distinctive model. The Corolla SR Coupe is unreservedly sporting, from its specially designed alloy wheels to its powerful engine, a car for the motoring enthusiast. With twin carburetors to reach from 0 to 60 in a fraction over 12 seconds and a top speed of 102 miles per hour. This is a full 4-speeder coupe, plenty to delight the driver who really enjoys the open road. But let's face it, even in early 80s, 0 to 60 in 12 seconds really wasn't anything to write home about, and certainly a top speed of 102 wasn't really anything out of the ordinary at the time. Just like its stablemate, the SR Coupe is fitted with such safety features as remote control driver's door mirror, rear screen wash wipe and outstanding night driving illumination, with the digital readout dimming automatically as side lamps are switched on. These features are further evidence of the detailed thinking that has gone into the design of these sporting Corollas. And then we get a little bit of an image of the interior for the XE liftback and the coupe, with that dashboard and these striped seats, as well as a very nice view of the XE, if I can get that into focus. No, just about. The XE, so you can see the badging there, 1.6 XE and the Toyota Corolla on the opposite side there. It's not a bad looking car, is it really? It's certainly a little bit more interesting than the standard versions. Certainly a little bit more interesting to own for sure. As well as this nice image of the coupe, certainly the most attractive of the range, with these nice unique alloy wheels and that steel sunroof. It certainly looks purposeful. And then we'll have a look at some of the specifications. We're not going to go into great detail of this because we are kind of like limited for time, but we'll have a bit of a look, and we'll also look at some of these diagrams as well and pictures of the inside. On the specification, firstly for the GL Saloons and DX Estates, and it's showing there it's a 1290cc 4-cylinder water-cooled engine, 65 brake horsepower on this particular one, with an aluminium alloy cylinder head. And then of course we've got that 5-speed all synchromesh gearbox. 80s we're starting to see 5-speed becoming more and more popular, but certainly it's a very nice feature to have on this particular car. And then it's giving you some information about performance. So these did a top speed of 92.7 miles per hour for that 5-speed manual, or the auto did 90, and it looks like the Estate did 91. 0 to 60 manual 14.9 seconds, auto 16.1 seconds, Estate 14.4 seconds. So you could never really accuse this Corolla range of being sprightly, could you? I think it was all more based on the pure reliability and the fact that it was such a well-made car. Typical normal things like rack and pinion steering, etc. And then we've got front disc brakes and then rear drum brakes. Suspension, the independent McPherson struts, and then it gives you a little bit of a list of the equipment levels, just picking a few things out. So we've got tinted glass and that velour upholstery. Like I say, quite well equipped really, considering, you know, the 70s, you know, you were lucky to get much equipment at all on, you know, the British car in the 70s. And I think this is how the Japanese really started really creeping into the British car market by keep adding these little extra few little things for no extra charge. And it could be little things like just opening the boot up and having a light in there could be, you know, the difference between getting a sale or not. And then we have a look at some of these equipment. So that's how the lights and indicator switches, the wash wipe switch, a little bit of a look at these petrol, oil, battery, coolant gauges on the XE and SR. The push button radio, digital quartz clock, that was only available on the liftback and coupe. Seems strange, but clocks were still an unusual feature to see on a car in 82. That's a little bit unusual. The console box, liftback and coupe. These quartz halogen headlamps. That's how the automatic gear selector would appear on the 4-door GL only. That's how your 5-speed gear lever would appear on other models. And that nice detachable sunroof on the liftback and coupe. And then we get a look at the liftback wheels and the coupe wheels. Particularly like those coupe wheels, they look quite nice. And for some reason it's just given a little bit of an image how the GL Saloon badge would appear. Further on the other page it does carry on giving more specifications. I'm not going to go into this in any great detail. Some dimensions and weights, etc. before it actually gets to the XE liftback. Now that's saying that's a 4-cylinder engine, 1588cc this time, so 74 brake horsepower at 5,400 revs per minute. Other than that, nothing out of the ordinary. Maximum speed on this one is 99 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in 12, but still a good fuel consumption, constant 56. You're getting what, 41.5 miles per gallon, which is certainly good for the times. And then it just gives you a little bit more. So can we get to the right spot? A bit more information. It says equipment has saloon plus things like striped upholstery, sunroof, individual folding rear seats, carpeted luggage area, luggage compartment over inertia rear seat belts, rear compartment lamp, rear windscreen wash wipe system, twist type rear door opening, full console box and recess for cassette player, tachometer, oil pressure gauge, digital quartz clock. A little bit of look at the wheels and tyres and then the dimensions for that model before we get to the SR Coupe. So that's got the same engine, the 1588cc engine, 85 brake horsepower at 5,400 RPM. That's got the twin choke carburetors on it. A little bit more information, this is the fastest one of them all, 102 miles per hour, 0 to 60, 12.5 seconds. Before it gives a little bit more information, fuel economy, this is 43, similar sort of equipment, and it says equipment as the XE liftback, so the sort of same things on the XE liftback would appear on your coupe. A little bit of brief facts about Toyota service before we finally close the brochure up, and it gives you that date of September 1982. So there we go, the Toyota Corolla E70 4th generation, in this case the facelift in 1982. For me personally, certainly a car that took Toyota from strength to strength, and like I say, up to 12 generations when this video was released. So a great car, and certainly a car that really had the true values of Toyota. Thank you so much for watching today. Please do comment, particularly if your own personal experiences of this 4th generation Corolla. I always really enjoy reading those. But for now, we'll say please do subscribe and like if you wish to, and we'll see you very soon. So take care and goodbye.